This is the March for Life. It's an annual rally that draws thousands of anti-abortion protesters. There are religious organizations, Trump supporters, and other conservative groups you'd expect to see here. And then there's this group. They show up every year, and every year people are surprised to see them here.
We need more from the other side.
So how does it feel to be out here?
The crowd feels good. It's a big crowd again this year, and nobody said anything negative about our Democrat sign.
Yep, you heard it right. They're Democrats, registered Democrats. And for the most part, they hold pretty classically blue beliefs. Give me a yay or nay. Are you pro-gun control?
Yay.
Gay marriage?
Yay.
Raising the minimum wage?
Yes.
Yay.
Combating climate change?
Yes.
Yay.
But they're also pro-life.
I'm the executive director of Democrats for Life, and we formed because we felt like the pro-life voice wasn't being heard.
The Democrats for Life have been coming to this march for 16 years, but they haven't exactly been welcomed with open arms. And in past years, have you gotten a who are you and why are you here?
Yeah, and also you shouldn't be here. So we've gotten a lot of that over the years, too.
The cue from Washington these days is that people like this shouldn't really exist. There are two parties. You pick one, and you're pretty much expected to go down the list of accepted beliefs and check all the boxes. So what happens when there's a box you just can't check? Where do people like anti-abortion Democrats fit in today's political landscape? When people hear pro-life Democrats, they hear an oxymoron or a contradiction.
We get that a lot.
How do most people react when you say you're a pro-life Democrat?
Most people are very surprised, like you mentioned, and they have a lot of questions, like you did. Well, how do you feel about these other issues?
Is it frustrating to sort of not have a seat at the cafeteria, so to speak?
I'm sometimes the most hated person in the room. So I go into a group of Democrats, and I'm pro-life, so they don't really want me there. I'll go to a pro-life event, and they're like, well, you're a Democrat, you shouldn't be here. And I actually was kicked out of the pro-life movement.
That problem becomes even more extreme for politicians. Joan Barry is a former state legislator from Missouri.
We have the big tent of the Democratic Party. We welcome diversity, but pro-life Democrats are not welcome as part of under that tent.
Have you ever been told, oh no, you're not a Democrat?
As far as candidates are concerned, running for office, or office holders that are Democrats, it's very hard for some people to believe that you could possibly be pro-life and be a Democrat. So therefore, if you say that you're pro-life, that means you're not a Democrat.
But that wasn't always the case. There was a time when plenty of Democrats were openly anti-abortion. I called Mary Ziegler. She's written about the history of the abortion debate. Was there a time when abortion was an issue that wasn't divided on party lines?
Yeah, absolutely. In the period before Roe v. Wade and for the better part of a decade after, the party alignment we have now was anything but an inevitability. And in fact, there were prominent supporters of abortion rights in the GOP and prominent pro-lifers in the Democratic Party. So just for example, in New York state, which had the most pro kind of abortion rights regime before Roe v. Wade, that was ushered in part by Governor Nelson Rockefeller, who was a Republican. And some of the prominent opponents of that move were Democrats, often Catholic Democrats. If you think of kind of big name Democratic politicians today, some of those who were around in the 60s or 70s, so Richard Durbin or Joe Biden at one point were not pro-choice, in part because their parties weren't. So there was nothing preordained about our current party alignment on abortion.
Even in the late 90s, when Democrats for Life was founded, its website listed more than 40 members of Congress who shared their view. Times have changed. Today, the group supports only 6 congressional Democrats. But they press on. And when the members huddled in a hotel meeting room before the march, I'll admit I was a bit surprised by the diversity. There were young people, old people, men and women. I met feminists, vegans, atheists, and I gotta say, it was kind of hard to wrap my mind around it. Take someone like Teresa.
Yeah, I'm a pro-life atheist. I was raised a pro-choice Christian. When I lost my faith, it transformed the way I thought about my own life. I didn't think, oh, I'm here because God has a purpose for my life. I'm here because I popped into an existence and nobody interrupted my life cycle and killed me.
So you went from pro-choice Christian to pro-life atheist.
That's right.
Wow, that's interesting.
And I live in San Francisco, and I'm a vegan, and I'm a feminist, and I'm a Democrat. So, yeah, it's a weird life, but...
So a lot of people, those are all very contradictory things, but...
Yeah, totally. But for me, they're all informed by the same basic values of equality, nonviolence, and non-discrimination.
Teresa's story may be a little unusual, but it did get me thinking. We're told our choices are red or blue, but most people have beliefs that are shades of purple. Usually we can ignore the color bleed, but there's one place where we have to confront it: the ballot box. What is your experience of going into the ballot box? And when you look up and down at the Democratic candidates, and most of them are pro-choice, how do you navigate that?
It is very difficult. Because the pro-life issue is obviously very important to me. You just have to look at the candidates and make the best choice you can.
It's a tough balance. I voted for Hillary in the 2016 election, and I have a lot of bad feelings about doing that.
I was going to say, how does that feel? Because she
Doesn't
was
feel great.
very open about
Obviously.
her stance, and it's not aligned with yours.
At all. But, you know, it was a protest vote against Trump, but it didn't feel great. And in the primaries this year, I handed in mostly an empty ballot.
Would you ever vote for a Republican because of that?
No, I can't. As a whole-life Democrat, who can I compromise for? It's wrong to try to have to pit certain lives against other lives.
Right. How do you hold one issue against the other?
You can't.
I couldn't bring myself to vote for Hillary Clinton, and I actually wrote in John Bell Edwards.
It sounds like you have to get pretty creative in the way that you navigate this stuff.
I have to consider each of those issues that are so important to our country and to our people, and that's how I make my decision on who I'm going to vote
It's complicated.
for. It is. A lot of times there isn't a choice at all.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.